What's going on, Wolfpack Nation? Thank you so much again for tuning in. Again, if you haven't already, please make sure to check out this part one of this conversation here with Chance. Definitely make sure to go check that by hitting the button right up here in the corner. And please make sure again to hit that subscribe button if you haven't already. It really helps support us on the channel. Please like this video if you enjoyed it. Please check out all of our other great NC State content, and also to follow us at Tuffy Talk Now on Twitter and Instagram. So, Chance, kind of diving into now more of the, I would say, now we kind of got a chance to kind of talk about you and your time in NC State and, your time in the minors and what you're doing these days. Now it's talking a little bit about, the current events of NC State Pac-9. So first starting off, got to talk about with obviously Doak Field. There's a lot of momentum right now. Obviously with our AD Boo Corrigan, there's been talks that there is plans in place now for upgrades, but haven't necessarily seen anything official yet. So wanted to kind of ask you, and we kind of asked King Kleiman, who we had on a couple weeks ago, the same question. But what would you kind of prioritize in terms of if they gave you a list of three things that to upgrade, and they gave you the option of what those three things are, what would you say?
It's tough. We've been talking about building a new stadium forever, but I'd love to see a bigger indoor facility. That's obviously an easy thing to say, but I think we have two hitting tunnels, whereas competitors in the ACC have 8 in an indoor cage, and our facilities are bottom tier in the ACC for a top tier baseball team. And it's tough to say, hey, we need all this money to build us a new stadium, but I mean, everybody else seems to find it. So I think it's a thing that needs to happen, and it's a thing that's been in talks since I went on a recruiting visit. There was plans up in the hallway in the clubhouse about this is what we're going to build by the time you're done here. And
they were there when I was there.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I'm saying. So I mean, yeah, a new indoor is an easy thing to say, and as far as I think fan seating is a big deal. I think having some kind of overhang or awning above the seats is a massive deal. You don't want people out there baking in 95-degree weather and expect them to come out to games. I mean,
yep.
Again, it's a thing that everybody else seems to have. So I think that, I mean, as far as a third, I wouldn't put something ahead of other things, but I know that those two are pretty big deals.
Well, because one thing, Chance, which I don't know if you've been able to see it on our Twitter, but one thing which we have done is, so every single day at 2:10 a.m. we've posted a post saying it's been this many days since NCAA screwed over Pac baseball, and then also copying at Boo Corrigan and others, and a lot of people have messaged it saying, why are you still doing this? Like what do you want them to do? It's not like, they can say, okay, you're right, NC State should be in the national championship. You're right. We screwed up with COVID. Yeah, I get that. There's Mississippi State's national champion. There's nothing that's going to change that. But from where I'm sitting, I still see that. I've told making this that, at the end of the day, it's still that we can still say, okay, you're not going to give us this national championship. That's fine. Well, guess what? We're going to renovate and upgrade this baseball stadium as it should be. We're going to bring in, a plethora of big time recruits, and we're going to get Coach Avent, his last years, and we're going to go and we're going to win a national championship here within the next 3-5 years, something like that. Okay, yeah, you can have this one, but we're going to take another one. Watch this. So that's what I'm saying is that, it's kind of like with Boo is that, yeah, I mean, we all know the NCAA is not going to change their mind. They're the NCAA and they stink. There's no other way, but it's like, okay, well, let's control what we can control. And, let's finally take this momentum and put it into good use here. So, I mean, obviously when I mentioned that we post every single day, you go, yep. So I know you've seen it. So I wanted to kind of get your thoughts on that in terms of, I mean, does that make sense? I mean, want to make sure, I mean, from your perspective, what's your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I mean, I think you used the perfect word. I think we have had a ton of momentum behind the program, and with putting pressure on, it's still, I mean, it's still there. I mean, people still kind of around Raleigh for sure talking about guys that we need to do something here and show this team that we're behind them, we support them, that we're going to put however much it costs on the line to go let them have a chance at getting the top recruits, competing for ACC national championships, and being consistently there like we have been for 8 years, 10 years, however long it's been. I mean, it's a thing that needs to happen, but obviously you just got to we got to keep pushing until something gets done.
So even in the pros right now, there's a lot of momentum. Obviously, with what not only what Trey's doing right now, but what with Carlos is doing right now. Will Wilson's name's getting thrown out there a lot. Kisner. I mean, he's played a good bit with the Cardinals. So I mean, that's what I'm saying is that there's momentum from all angles right now. So and I can guarantee you that. I mean, if Boo or whoever says, hey, this is what we're thinking, this is how much it's going to cost. I guarantee you, there's enough people from even Wolfpack Nation, including us here on the call, and also too in the major leagues with Trey and Carlos. I said, okay, we'll make it happen. Before we continue, I want to take a quick second to tell you about our sponsor, Flightland's Jessup Insurance Group, that has your whole world covered, with agents in 5 offices throughout eastern North Carolina to help you decide how much coverage you need, offering policies for home and auto, recreational vehicles, commercial, crop, health, life, and employee benefits. They are able to combine options to find a comprehensive solution that works for you. Flightland's Jessup protects the things you love so you can spend less time worrying and more time enjoying them. Find them on Facebook and Instagram at Flightlands Jessup. You can also visit their webpage at www.flightlandsjessup.com. So please make sure to go and check them out.
No, I'm just thinking, you mentioned momentum. It's just me talking. It's like, and we've talked this before a little bit on previous episodes, but I just feel like Boo, like we've talked about, this was kind of going to be a defining moment of his legacy as an AD. And it doesn't really, I don't think it's such a good taste in fans' mouths, just because going into it, I mean, so what could he have done? But I have a hard, and maybe I'm wrong, and this is just maybe on pop. I have a hard time believing that if Debbie, it were the AD right now, that knowing her personality, that she'd be fighting for this, and we'd be somehow. It seemed like we just rolled over a little bit too soon and too quickly. And my thought was, you mentioned momentum. If we had done like kicked off some sort of fundraiser kind of thing, right, a few days after all this ordeal, I mean, everybody in the country was buzzing about this, and you mentioned the pros and all that. I felt like we would have capitalized the most on that coming. I mean, I'm sure even people who donated at least like $1, $5, $10, just that weren't just ordinary people, because they felt like, it kind of was a personal statement. Oh, well, they got the COVID, they got the vaccine, they did everything right, and some guys didn't, but it's their choice. But like, some guys did get the vaccine, they got sick from it, or some guys got the vaccine, didn't get sick, told they couldn't play, but you're going to punish them? Like, it just doesn't make any sense to me. And so my thought was like, I just felt like we rolled over too soon. And it kind of seems like I don't want this to be another, hey, we keep talking about the building and renovating this new stadium, and it just becomes more talk and not action. I don't know what you think about that.
Yeah, and but the thing about a fundraiser or anything like that, I don't know. I'm not smart enough to make those decisions about who starts it and where the money's got to go and all that kind of stuff. But no, I 100% agree. Boo hasn't been around long enough for me to really know much about him. I know what's said about former AD Yao. She
Debbie
was
Yao.
she was something. She was intense. I know she would have came out and said something. But I just would have liked to see something about, we know what happened was wrong, and we're going to do everything we can to rectify the situation, or at least just give us more information about what happened. That's the thing that I was so just in the dark about. But there was no information until we were
very ambiguous,
playing with 13 guys, and then on the way home. I mean,
yeah, very ambiguous. Yep.
It was all speculation. It was all social media and whatever you wanted to read.
And all they would have to do is be, I mean, I feel like neither side is truly giving you the details.
Right.
And it's like, okay, so something is not wanting to be shared, if you get what I'm saying. Something in part of this, whether if there's a details there, I mean, you could argue that, okay, we're just being respectful and we're not wanting to give I can kind of get on board with that to a degree. But when you're like 2 or 3 games away from a national championship and you just go home,
yeah,
I feel like we do deserve some answers a little bit more specifically than just like, well, hey, we tried this and it didn't really work out so well. And, I want to just know like the details. How hard did you push basically in that regard?
Well, I'd like to see Clemson football have the same situation and send them home.
Yeah. That's what we said. If like Alabama or Clemson was playing for a national championship against somebody like, I use like Missouri or Arkansas or somebody like that, it's not always there, but having to be there, you really think they would have told Alabama or Clemson, sorry,
yeah,
some of your players are vaccinated and healthy, but they can't play, and then the day later, actually, you got to go home.
Like the
They
college
wouldn't have done that.
football
It's
semifinal,
money.
4 teams, and you have like a little underdog in there, and nope, you got to go home.
Yep.
There's no doubt that from the 2 games that you saw of State playing against Vanderbilt too, I mean, Vanderbilt is one of the top programs when it comes to, college baseball. You think Vanderbilt, you don't think football, you don't think basketball, you think baseball. And, obviously both those games, the first game we beat them fair and square. And then we hit against Kumar Rucker with, basically 13 guys that, that we had. And we played a heck of a game against them. We were 1 hit away from winning that game. And with Devontae Brown up to bat too. I mean, I think any State fan looking at that goes, yeah, I mean, you would take that all day long and twice on Tuesday with that situation, having Devontae Brown up to bat with a chance to win the game for us. And we didn't. So I do think that, I mean, it kind of looks a little fishy to, on the NCAA side going, maybe it's sort of like, maybe they're not too happy that, we played them well. And again, any Vanderbilt fan who talks crap, and there has been a couple of Vanderbilt fans that have talked crap, you look back and you go, I mean, we had you guys. I mean, even though we went 1-on-1, you can't tell me if we didn't have, Terrell Tatum, if we didn't have, our entire lineup, that we probably would have won that game. We probably would have won that game. Let's be real here. So, I
mean, there's people out there that have already said, and like, national guys that have kind of conceded. Probably, maybe they should have, but they're like, in my opinion, State was the best team. They were the better team. Now, the best outcome in this whole situation was that Mississippi State actually won the whole thing. Yeah. And I just love seeing the 2 universities embrace one another just for the love of the game.
Well, and one thing, Chance, I want to kind of get your thoughts on this. So one thing which I actually heard is, so there was when Team USA came to Cary to play, there were some State fans that were there, and actually one State fan actually told me that 2 of the Mississippi State players that were there actually said that they actually wanted to wear the Tuffy logo on their helmets in honor of us during the game. But they wouldn't allow, but Mississippi State or the NCAA, whatever, wouldn't allow them to do that.
NCAA didn't allow it.
Yeah.
Yeah, that has nothing to do with Mississippi State.
Yeah.
That has nothing to do with them.
Because again, I mean, like literally the guy hit the home run or whatever, and he did the wolf, to the outfield. So I mean, there's no doubt, that they knew that they wanted a 3-game series against us, and we deserve to have a 3-game series against them because Mississippi State crushed them. So I want to kind of get your thoughts and your initial thoughts on that, Chance.
Yeah, I have a buddy who went to Mississippi State, and I texted him as soon as we got kicked out and said, I need this. If I never get anything else from you, I need this win. But listen, I'm so tired of – I don't want to say tired. I'm sick of seeing all the State fans being so thankful. If they come to us, I want to whoop them just as bad as I would have wanted to in the national championship. I'm talking about Mississippi State, Vanderbilt, whoever was next in line. I hope we destroy them. But I am glad that they won the national championship for sure, because Vanderbilt to me didn't deserve to be there. And
right.
I don't know about you guys, but I thought we had a real shot whenever we had 13 guys.
Yeah, absolutely.
So what do you think about Highfield going 3 for 4 hitting, man?
That was impressive. That was really impressive.
I thought it was wasn't it the second or third hit? He just comes around first base and he's just smirking because he's like, it's kind of like the Jordan shrug where Jordan's like shooting, Michael Jordan's shooting. And he's like, I don't even know how I'm shooting this well. Yeah. That's kind of like what Chance did. I mean, what Sam did. That was stuff like that, man. You just can't make. I mean, that's like in a storybook.
Oh yeah, especially for an Apex kid right there around our alley. I mean, that's awesome.
Yeah. And I mean, want to kind of ask your side from the batting side, Chance, because we talked about this with Kent and obviously Rob here as well, being pitchers. But I want to kind of ask from the batting side. So one of the things that people have kind of said, when it comes to us talking about Sam Highfield's performances, well, Rocker and Vanderbilt didn't have time, or opportunity to prepare for Sam Highfield, in terms of whatever, basically scouting him. But, from my perspective, it's, I mean, at the end of the day, if you are a top 10 draft pick in Kumar Rocker, I mean, if you're as good as you are, I mean, then you have the ball in your hands. I feel like at the end of the day, the pitcher has the bigger advantage, because then he decides, how to throw, what to throw, when to throw, whatever it is, So it's hard for me to believe that a guy who steps up the plate that hasn't hit a bat all year has an advantage just because the Kumar Rocker doesn't have a chance to scout for him,
and one of the best pitchers in college baseball. He just got picked 11th by the Mets.
Yeah.
So, or 10th or whatever it was.
No, if Vanderbilt had a week, they wouldn't have looked at any Sam Highfield stinking
Yeah, either
high
way.
school tape. They got Kumar Rocker. They're going to take their chances. What he did was awesome.
Mm-hmm.
3 for 4 off of that guy is something that I mean, none of our starters really did. So it's impressive.
Yeah, no kidding. So, but now to kind of talk a little bit more, in terms of looking at this team. So, first of all, I mean, obviously there was a lot of big names in terms of for the power side. Luka Tresh, Devontae Brown, Johnny Butler, Tyler McDonough. Those are all guys that had double-digit home runs this year. But wanted to kind of ask you, I mean, like, was there one specific player that maybe impressed you the most, or maybe stood out to you the most from the lineup?
I love McDonough. That dude plays with some serious swag to him. I mean, the way he hits homers is just impressive. Right-handed, left-handed. He came in as a second baseman. Now he's playing center field. It's a lot to me like Josh McClain, super athletic, can kind of do everything. And Jake Fincher too came as an infielder and transitioned to the outfield and just kind of raked for 4 years. So I loved watching McDonough play. I loved his style. I thought he played really hard, was really aggressive, and just kind of embodied what you wanted to see out of a state guy.
Yeah, now he's third round pick to the Red Sox, I think is where it was.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Yep. And obviously looking back at 2 big home runs from this past season, the first one being, we already mentioned it, Terrell Tatum's home run against Vanderbilt against Jack Leiter, and then Jose Torres's home run against Arkansas to basically walk it off again. So wanted to kind of ask you, like, if you had to pick, which one would you say was more of your favorite home run? I mean, feel like they both had swag. They were both clutch. They were both big. They were both powerful. I mean, for me, they were 2 big home runs. I feel like you're almost picking straws basically to pick between which one was better.
Yeah, but watched both of them at home. I didn't see the Tatum one off the bat. I was actually both of them. I was standing in the same spot in my kitchen. One I was just looking at the TV, and one I wasn't. And I told my wife, I was like, I can't leave the kitchen for any more baseball games. I have to stand right here because every time I'm right here, we hit big home runs. And no, the Torres one, I grabbed my son out of his high chair and ran around the living room screaming, and did the exact same thing for the Tatum one. So I can't put one ahead of the other. They were both just massive home runs for us.
Yeah, no, it was a big moment for sure. But I mean, because especially to the Arkansas one, because one of the things that you see a lot of too is that a lot of people are saying that with Cops being a guy that, again, he basically went into that game not having to start an entire game, and then he was a reliever, and then he went and pitched, what was it, 115 pitches or something like that, going 9 innings. I mean, from the batting perspective, I mean, you feel like that especially Arkansas. I mean, I get it. He is your guy. He is the hot hand. But I feel like, especially you from the back side, especially up to that chance, I'm sure you've probably seen him 3 or 4 times. I don't know. I just feel like eventually, if you see him 3 or 4 times, eventually you're going to get something off him. Especially, like, let's say for you being a power guy, you hit it one time and it's gone. And just like with Torres, he made contact one time and it was gone, and that was the game. So I mean, did you kind of feel maybe from the Arkansas side that was the right call, or do you think that maybe they should have, brought in somebody else?
I didn't expect it from Arkansas because, I mean, you're playing the number 1 team in the country there. I mean, nobody was questioning that they were the number 1 team in the country, and they had one guy that they could throw out there for the biggest game of the season. Yeah, he was a less than 1 ERA guy and was the most dominant pitcher in the country. But for some reason, I have a feeling we were going to get to him eventually. We just had to grind out enough at bats, get his pitch count high enough, and we would catch one. And then we caught the one, and to me, it was just a matter of time before, with all the juice that we had in our lineup, that something was going to miss a location and we were going to hit a barrel, and that's all it really ended up taking.
Obviously, with this team, and especially like a guy like Johnny Butler, let's say, who I mean that guy this season has been on absolute roll. And I mean, for me, in my opinion, I feel like that if you look at the last 2/3 of the season, there's no doubt, in my opinion, he's ACC Player of the Year. But obviously, just like the rest of the team, they started off a little slow, but then they figured it out and they got rolling. But wanted to kind of ask your opinion per se in terms of the difference, because I know that. First of all, have you ever been to Omaha in the College World Series? You ever been
No,
there?
never been.
Okay.
13 we went, didn't get to go, but no, I never got to go.
Well, because
Mm-mm.
like one moment, for example, that maybe I can use as an example to kind of prove my point. So there's no doubt there's a difference, especially when with bigger parks to maybe let's say those in college. And one example I think of is Trey Turner in 2013 when they were playing UCLA in the College World Series, and he hit a dinger. I think it was in the seventh inning or something like that. And I mean, he had his hand up like, "Oh yeah,
He
that's
was fist
gone.
pumping. Yeah.
See ya." Like, it's out of here. And it was like 10 feet short. And so,
Yeah.
I mean, from the batting side, I mean, is there any kind of difference in terms of mindset?
Well, yeah, it's kind of comfortability. If I go back to the Doak today and I hit around a BP, I know which ones, as soon as it hits the bat, which ones are going to leave and which ones aren't.
Mhm.
And so when you go to a new ballpark, maybe it doesn't travel as well to certain parts of the field and things like that. But no, I mean, going back to the swing Trey had, I thought I was going nuts on that one too, and he was too, all the way down to first base. But I didn't think that balls flew out of that place like they did this year. I mean, Coastal, I think, hit one or two whenever they were there, and they were one of the best power hitting teams in the country that year. And
Mhm.
I didn't expect balls to leave the yard there like they did.
Yeah. Yeah. So wanted to kind of finish off with one fun question. So obviously there's no doubt again that we've said it multiple times how much of a power hitter you are. But what would you say who would you say was the most powerful hitter that has ever put on the state uniform that you have seen? Would you say it was you, or would you say it's somebody else?
Your dad would probably be saying
Yeah,
Tim,
say it's
right?
me. Say it's me.
I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding.
Yeah, that's my dad definitely would say that. But to me, it would be some of the balls that Brett Kinnaman hit there were unbelievable, especially his freshman year when he was just green going in there, trying to hit him as far as he could, and he was hitting balls on top of the trees in right field. It was unbelievable, and he could do it pull side, he could do it oppo. I don't know if he's the most powerful guy that's ever played there, but he's hit some of the most impressive homers I've seen.
Fair enough.
I'll tell you a guy right now that it interests me. I kind of, going into the next season a little bit too, is now you've lost a lot of roster guys, but one guy that I'm going to be very interested in where he's going to be in the batting lineup is going to be Devontae Brown,
Mm-hmm.
because that dude can crush some balls, man.
He's insanely quick. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Rob,
His hands absolutely fly. It's crazy to watch him hit.
That's just a power hitter. Yeah, that's cool. You said Brett Kinnaman.
Yeah.
I'd agree with you.
I'm just kind of curious if if you recall chance from watching the game back against when we were in the College World Series, the Pac-13 game, haven't seen those young guys step up. Were there any that kind of caught your attention? Like Eisert, Eddie Eisert was a guy who was a new one. Obviously, you had Sam Heitfeld and Brett Veneman step up, but you had D'Angelo Giles is another guy who stepped up. Garrett Payne, pitcher. Is there any guys who kind of maybe early on you thought that was interesting? They had showed some signs of some stuff that could be used moving forward in a good way.
Man, I'm not gonna lie to you. I couldn't tell you. I know Eddie Iser. For some reason, that name stuck in my head, and I watched him play, and I know we had a couple young arms step up and really help us out. And this is kind of similar arms that helped us out in the Arkansas Super Regional, Super Regional. There's a lot of young pitching. I know we've got a guy. He's probably what 6'7", 6'8", left-handed arm. Is that right?
Andrew
I can't remember
Tillery.
his name.
Andrew Tillery.
Yeah, and I expect him to get some innings this year. It's a big arm out of the bullpen. Then we really have to replace Justice, who is a stud for us this year. That guy was awesome to watch too. So yeah, we're gonna have to replace a lot of innings on the mound. So to me, it's going to be bullpen arms that are going to need to step up and take those spots serious.
Yep.
Yeah, another guy I forgot to mention was Carson Falskin, but he's not a pitcher. But you got to get that's a fair point. The bullpen's going to really step up when you lose Justice, you lose Reed Johnston.
Mm-hmm.
Those are some hosses, especially Justice. How he is Justice when he got on the mound, he just had a swagger to him.
Oh yeah.
And that was what was cool to watch him. Like he's just like, okay, this dude's gonna I don't know. It was just a different kind of thing. Like he had something about him that was different than other pitchers. That's why I liked him. He wasn't smug, but it was like I'm going to go ahead and whoop your tail right now.
Yeah.
Yep. So thank you so much again, Chance, for joining us. Really do appreciate your time, and definitely best of luck in the future. And just like you said, hopefully, since you are especially in Wilmington, hopefully see you at the Doak and at a couple, hopefully many in-state baseball games here in the near future.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
The new Doak. We'll see you at the new Doak.
The new Doak.
Yeah.
The new
Yeah.
Doak.
Let's
Love
look
it.
forward to that.
Love it. Beautiful. Well, thank you all so much again for tuning in. Appreciate y'all's time. And also make sure to hit that subscribe button. Please like this video. Check out other content. Follow us at Tuffy Duck Now, Twitter, Instagram. Thank you all so much again. Stay safe and go Pack.